in the sprawling heart of ancient Central Asia, where the wind whispers tales of forgotten empires, a young man named Arin lived a life painted in ink and parchment. He was an apprentice mapmaker, his days spent hunched over tables in a dusty workshop, tracing the veins of the known world. His master, a man as old as the sun-scorched mountains that cradled their city, taught him that every line on a map was a promise of a path, a destination, a connection. But Arin yearned for more than just copying the well-trodden routes of the Silk Road. He dreamt of the unknown, of the blank spaces on the parchment, of the legends whispered by traders in the bustling caravanserais. They spoke of lost cities buried beneath the shifting sands, of secret valleys where rivers flowed with liquid jade, and of pathways that had vanished from memory, swallowed by time and turmoil. One sweltering afternoon, while cleaning out a long-forgotten corner of the workshop, Arin stumbled upon an old iron-bound chest. It was covered in a thick blanket of dust, its lock rusted shut. Curiosity, a mapmaker's most essential tool, took hold. With a bit of effort and a rusted chisel, he pried the lid open. Inside, nestled amongst brittle scrolls and dried-out inkwells, was something that made his heart stop. It was a map, or rather, half of one. The parchment was ancient, its edges charred and blackened as if rescued from a great fire. The ink was faded, but the lines were drawn with a masterful hand that Arin had never seen before. This wasn't one of his master's maps. This was something else entirely. As he carefully unrolled it, his breath caught in his throat. The map depicted familiar landmarks, the soaring Pamir Mountains, the vast Taklamakan Desert, but the routes were all wrong. Or rather, they were all new. These were not the established arteries of commerce he painstakingly drew every day. These were ghost paths, secret trails that wove through treacherous mountain passes and skirted the edges of desolate salt flats. He saw names of oases he'd only ever heard of in fables, and symbols that hinted at dangers beyond imagination and rewards beyond belief. This was a map of forgotten silk roads, routes believed to have been lost for centuries, erased by conquest and the relentless march of the desert. His master, upon seeing the artifact, grew pale. He explained that such maps were rumored to exist, created by a legendary guild of explorer cartographers known as the Star Navigators. They didn't just map the land. They mapped the flow of fortune, the currents of power, the very soul of the trade routes. But their knowledge was deemed too dangerous, their influence too great. They were disbanded, their maps ordered destroyed. This burned fragment was a heresy, a ghost from a forbidden past. Holding the half-map, Arin felt a pull he couldn't ignore. This was more than just old ink on parchment. It was a challenge, a call to adventure. The other half was out there somewhere, and with it, the key to unlocking the greatest secrets of the Silk Road. The known world, with its defined borders and predictable paths, suddenly felt too small. The real map, Arin realized, wasn't the one you copied. It was the one you followed into the unknown. His journey began not with a grand caravan, but with a single step out of the city gates at dawn. His only companions were a sturdy donkey, a pack filled with waterskins, dried fruit and his mapping tools, and the cryptic half-map pressed safely against his chest. The first clue was a faded symbol on the map's chest's edge, a stylized scorpion next to a crescent moon. Local lore spoke of a Scorpion's Pass, a treacherous route through the mountains that was only navigable under the light of a new moon. Most believed it was just a scary story told to children. Arin was about to find out. The climb was grueling. The path was barely a path at all, just a series of precarious ledges clinging to the cliffside. The wind howled like a hungry wolf, threatening to tear him from the rock face. But Arin, guided by the celestial bodies and the unwavering lines on his map, pushed forward. He learned to read the land not just as a cartographer, but as a survivor. He learned the language of the rocks, the secrets of the hardy desert plants, and the rhythm of the stars. At the summit of the pass, he found his first confirmation. Carved into a standing stone was the same scorpion symbol from his map, its tail pointing eastward, deeper into the wilderness. A surge of triumph washed over him. He was on the right path. He was walking a road that hadn't seen a human foot in centuries. His journey led him to a hidden oasis, a splash of impossible green in the middle of a sun-bleached wasteland. The map had called it the Well of Whispers. Here, he met a nomadic tribe, their faces etched with the wisdom of the desert. They were wary of strangers, but when their elder, a woman with eyes as clear as the desert sky, saw the scorpion symbol on Arin's satchel. She recognized it. Her ancestors, she explained, were the guardians of these lost ways. They told him the star navigators had split the map for protection. One half showed the path. The other showed the key, the celestial alignments and seasonal knowledge needed to navigate it safely. The other half, she whispered, was last seen in the possession of a reclusive scholar who lived in a library city, a place built to safeguard knowledge from the chaos of the world. Her people had lost contact generations ago, but they knew the general direction: east, towards the rising sun, past the valley of the silent statues. Following her guidance, Arin crossed a vast, eerie valley filled with towering rock formations that resembled petrified giants. The silence was absolute, a heavy blanket that seemed to absorb all sound. It was here that he was ambushed. Not by bandits seeking gold, but by something far more sinister. They were shadowy figures, assassins from a secret society sworn to keep the old roads buried forever. They called themselves the Keepers of the Dust, believing the lost routes would only bring war and chaos back to the world. A frantic chase ensued through the stone labyrinth. Arin, using his wits and his intimate knowledge of the terrain he had just mapped, managed to outsmart his pursuers. He created a rock slide to block their path, escaping by the skin of his teeth. The encounter left him shaken, but more determined than ever. If someone was willing to kill to keep this map a secret, its value was immeasurable. Finally, after months of travel that felt like a lifetime, he saw it on the horizon. Samarkand, the jewel of the Silk Road, a city of turquoise domes and bustling markets. But he wasn't here for the main city. The tribe elder had given him directions to a hidden enclave on its outskirts, the fabled library city. He found the scholar, an old man named Kale, living in a tower overflowing with scrolls. Kale was the last descendant of the star navigators. He had been waiting, protecting the other half of the map. When Arin presented his burned fragment, Kale retrieved its twin from a hidden compartment in the floor. He laid the two pieces together. As the edges met, the map was complete. But it was more than just a complete picture. The inks, infused with rare minerals, began to glow with a soft, ethereal light. Lines and symbols invisible before now shimmered into existence. It was a living map. It showed not only the geographical paths, but also the flow of water sources that changed with the seasons, safe havens from sandstorms, and even deposits of rare gems and minerals hidden beneath the earth. It was the master key to the prosperity and peril of Central Asia. Kale explained the society's true purpose. The star navigators didn't just map trade. They sought to create balance, ensuring no single empire or faction could monopolize the flow of goods and knowledge. They believed that connection, freely shared, was the key to peace. Their downfall came when a greedy king sought to control their knowledge for his own conquest. As Arin and Kale looked upon the glowing map, the doors to the tower burst open. The Keepers of the Dust had tracked him. Their leader stepped forward, his face grim. "That knowledge is a curse," he declared. "It must be destroyed," but Arin stood his ground. He held up the map, its light illuminating the room. "This isn't a curse," he said, his voice ringing with newfound conviction. "It's a choice. It's a chance to connect the world in a way it has never been before, to build bridges instead of walls." What followed was not a battle of swords, but a battle of ideas. Arin, using the wisdom he'd gained on his journey, argued for a new future. He spoke of the nomadic tribe who helped him, of the beauty of the hidden oasis, of the shared humanity that connected them all. He proposed not to release the map to kings or merchants, but to create a new guild, one dedicated to using its knowledge for the good of all people, to guide travelers find water in times of drought and foster understanding between distant cultures. His words, filled with the passion of his journey and the truth of his experience, swayed some of the younger keepers. They saw not a tool of war, but a map of hope. The leader, though reluctant, saw the division in his own ranks. A truce was called. Arin's story was just beginning. He didn't just find a lost map. He found his own purpose. He would spend the rest of his life not just drawing lines on parchment, but walking them, reviving the lost connections, and proving that the most valuable destination on any map is a shared future. The Silk Road was more than a route for silk and spices. It was a network of human hearts, and Arin, the boy who once dreamt of blank spaces, would become its master cartographer. Thanks for watching. If you were captivated by Arin's journey, Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories from the crossroads of history and legend.